building nationwide. According to a new poll, only 1/3 of people surveyed believe the economy is in good shape. The latest economic and unemployment data was released this morning as many anxiously await the possibility of a recession.
Here to share more about the state of the economy and how you can prepare your finances for a possible downturn is financial professional Ali Hashemian from Kinetic Financial. Ali, good morning to you. Welcome. The economy is complicated, right? We're getting all kinds of conflicting information every day, and predicting a recession is pretty tricky. What do these latest economic reports indicate?
Well, they tell us a lot. And for people that aren't paying attention to it, I'd strongly urge you to take a look at these economic indicators, including unemployment, which we actually got some good numbers this morning on unemployment. But unfortunately, we're seeing some bad numbers on things like GDP, which is another big economic indicator that financial professionals like myself use to evaluate the overall health of the economy. All I can say is things are in flux. You guys were talking about fog this morning. There's a lot of fog in the financial markets, to say the least. I'd definitely be paying attention to how to navigate this the best way.
It's interesting to me because, as you said, you're looking at the GDP data negatively. If you read some websites right now, they're showing it as a positive that there was still spending going on. So many Americans believing our country is out of control. They look at the numbers and go, oh my goodness, 85% blaming the state of the economy when it comes to how they're feeling about the country itself. Does the new GDP and unemployment data point to a recession, or are we in some cases, I feel like, almost talking ourselves into a recession?
We might be. It might be a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy here. We've already seen that with the run on the banks. You've heard a lot about Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. Now, this week, we've heard a ton of news about First Republic Bank. But again, it's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy in the sense that people are concerned about a run on the bank, so they go take their money out of the bank, and that causes a run on the bank. So yes, I do think that there should be some light or clarity for people out there. The GDP data, though, just the fact that GDP rose is not good enough. The fact that it rose less than the previous quarter is the problem, and that causes a lot of economics to believe that there might be potential minimal GDP growth moving throughout the year due to things like the Fed interest rate hikes and ongoing concerns about inflation, which put a lot of pressure on our economy.
Yeah, when you break it down for all of us at home trying to figure out and navigate this financial climate, consumer confidence falling yet again, and the Federal Reserve does expect a recession to hit later this year. Do you agree with that?
I think that's a hard question, maybe an impossible question to answer.
But we want you to answer it for us and shed some light.
Don't you have a crystal ball?
I wish I had that crystal ball. You too. If I did, I'd be sitting on a beach in Mexico right now. But that's just not the case. I do think that there is concerns about a recession. We're seeing a lot of weakening in the housing environment. We've seen two of the major asset classes, stocks and bonds, both take a hit due to rising interest rates. All of this kind of leads itself towards the thought of a recession. On top of that, we're just overdue for something like that. So whether it's the end of this year, which is what the Fed predicts, or later or before that, I think people should be doing everything in their power to recession-proof their portfolio.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Because I feel like during the pandemic, so many people stockpiled their money, right? They weren't going out to eat, they weren't spending, and so they have all this savings. Then they go out and they've spent now that we're opening back up. So how do you actually tell people to prepare their finances for a possible recession when, you know, they'd stockpiled, now they spent, and now I'm assuming you're going to tell them to save some money?
I am going to tell them to save some money. And I'd like to remind everybody, it's kind of our fault, right? We saved a bunch of money, then we went out and spent like crazy, which caused this inflationary environment that we're in. So again, a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy there as well. There's three things I would suggest people do right now to take control. Number one, make sure you have enough in your emergency savings. That's a big deal right now. People are going to see layoffs, furloughs, things like that from employers. And people that are retired depend on their investment and retirement portfolios. This is a good time to make sure you have something stockpiled on the sidelines. Number two, make sure that you're getting rid of that high interest rate debt. I find this to be an odd one because a lot of people are just trying to tackle their biggest debt, but sometimes their biggest debt is a home equity debt, and it doesn't really make sense to be paying down that debt when the interest rates might be much lower than a credit card debt, for example. And last but not least, make sure you diversify your portfolio. If all you have is stocks, bonds, and real estate, this might be a good time for you to look at things like alternatives, fixed income products, insurance-based products. There's a lot of different things out there, commodities, that you should probably be integrating into your portfolio, and this might be the opportune time to do that. Just create a plan. You know, I always say there's two sayings.
Yep.
A failure to plan is a plan to fail, basically.
All right.
Well, I know I called my financial planner this week to diversify, so, you know, you got to do what you can. Allie, thank you. Great advice.
Good job.
Yep.
My pleasure.
Those annoying robocalls are only getting worse despite federal legislation to crack them down on them.
Just last month, Americans were pestered by nearly 5 billion robocalls. Christine Lazar is here to tell us why this is happening and what can be done. Can I stop this from ringing?
I mean, look, I asked that question. Will we ever see a